Hey, I'm Jim Barry. Welcome once again to Miami Life, the show that takes a closer look at life here in South Florida. Now, with Donald Trump back in the White House, many folks in South Florida wonder what his immigration crackdown will mean for their lives and also their livelihoods. Right after he was sworn in, Trump wasted no time signing nearly 50 executive actions and orders, several specifically focused on immigration, seeking to end birthright citizenship for children born here but whose parents are here illegally. The president also declared an emergency at the southern border, and he signed another order reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy and another to deny public benefits to unauthorized immigrants. It is all part of his promised overhaul of America's immigration system. Yvonne Taylor has more in its immediate impact.
Margelis Tinoco breaks down in tears at the Mexican-U.S. border. Her asylum appointment scheduled for today was canceled. President Donald Trump shut down a mobile app known as the CBP-1, which enabled Tinoco and many immigrants who sought to enter the United States through legal ports of entry. The website now says all appointments are canceled.
We have 31,000 people who remain in Mexico, had a way for people to sign up, walk through a line, be interviewed.
We asked immigration attorney Willie Allen what options exist for Tinoco and many more like her.
I'm not sure what's going to be the next approach. I am concerned.
Not surprised at all.
Jepsi Meletus, an immigration activist in South Florida, tells me her organization and many others began preparing for the executive orders announced today.
It's also important that our family members take every measure, every action that's possible to protect their assets, their children, and their interests.
She tells me they will be holding workshops for a wide variety of immigrants.
Unfortunate people that have already gotten into the process, that he's going to cut that off now. I don't think that's fair. If they were already, they should be grandfathered in. If they were already in the process of doing some kind of immigration legally.
Mixed reactions on Monday at this Cuban landmark where many of the president's supporters gathered.
We cannot have open border and everybody come in and they check him in and they have a pass and they send him to Chicago or New York.
And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country.
The first part of his inaugural address was dedicated to border security.
We will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
It's a great day for America. He said exactly what the American people voted for.
I think the word after the speech today for the immigrants is fear.
All right, the president's immigration crackdown is almost certain to lead to a number of legal challenges. We wanted to get more of a perspective on this. Joining us now is immigration lawyer Lizette Sierra. Lizette, you've been in this game for a long time, so I know you're well versed in this. And boy, it is certainly top of mind for many folks right now. And I think there are a lot of categories of folks I'd like to discuss with you about. First of all, some of the people we saw in this story that Yvonne did, the people on the outside of the U.S. trying to get in. They had appointments, trying to plead their cases for asylum. All of a sudden they were canceled. What do they do?
That's going to be a very difficult situation because it's going to go back to the Trump era request for asylum. So they'll have to remain in Mexico, wait their day in Mexico to have their hearing before a U.S. immigration judge. A lot of people may choose the option of going to the UN and seeking refugee status, but that's a very lengthy process. So it's going to be difficult for those asylum seekers who intend to come in and seek refuge.
It's going to be a long waiting game, in other words. A long
waiting game.
What about the undocumented immigrants who are here in the United States, specifically a lot of folks probably here in that category in South Florida? What should they do now?
Well, I tell people to take it easy. Cógelo con take it easy. It's kind of my slogan for them because everybody is very stressed out and very concerned. And they have laid out that there is a target priority, that their intention is to go after first those individuals who are a public threat. And so if you are an individual that is here undocumented and you have no criminal history, it's time to take action. You need to seek immigration counsel. You need to take action and see what relief is available for you and move on that quickly because that list can move up quickly.
I think people are worried that there are going to be these deportation roundups. They're going to be coming into their homes or where they work or even where they worship.
Well, there's going to be roundups, but it's going to be primary for those public threat individuals and those individuals individuals who have final orders of removal. And if you have a final order of removal, again, I have the same advice, seek immigration counsel immediately.
And a subcategory, what about the children of those undocumented immigrants? The children, because of the Constitution, if they were born here, it says they are citizens. Of course, birthright citizenship is something the president is talking about removing. What should they do?
Well, no, those children, if they are already adult children, they need to start moving to help their parents, if that's possible. And if you have a minor child who is a U.S. citizen, you're going to have to speak with some type of family lawyer, set things up in the event that you are deported. You have two choices. You can take your child with you. Your child is not deported. They are U.S. citizens. They can come back when they so choose to. But if you don't want to leave them here with somebody else or in the hands of the government, you need to plan and prepare for that.
There's also been talk that those children would be denied public benefits. I wonder, does that mean they can't go to public school, can't go to public universities? What does it mean?
Well, at this point, we're going to have to sit and wait, right? That executive order for those children who are born after the signing of that order, as far as the birthright, I think that's definitely going to be challenged. Of his executive orders, I think that's the one that worries me the most, because the 14th Amendment protects that right. I don't know what their argument's going to be, whether it's, that the intention was something other than it was at the time of ratification, but we'll have to see. You
work with a lot of employers who seek to bring in laborers from elsewhere. So how does this impact them? Because I'm just thinking a lot of folks are in South Florida, construction workers, for example, maybe folks who work in agriculture, the hotel industry would be another. Right. What about those employers? What should they do? Well, for me, those are the lost individuals in all this that people don't talk about much. They usually go through a very long waiting period when you have these hotels, these construction companies that do these labor certifications to bring these individuals to work because they are desperate for manual labor that they do not have here. It takes a very long time, and I'm hoping that this government will do something to better that backlog, to create more numbers in those visa categories so that those individuals can come in sooner than later. But I don't fear that is going to change. I just hope that it gets better. And lastly, the politicians who have to deal with this thorny issue, instead of these kick the can down the curb answers, what can they do to come up with some meaningful solutions to solve this immigration problem? Well, we need some bipartisan legislation. These executive orders are Band-Aids, and they change every 4 years, as we've seen here, and it's really not good. It's really not good for the local communities. So we really need to push our representatives to take action. And we've been trying a long time. Yeah. I'm a half, not the half empty, I'm a full cup type person, so I hope that happens. It has become a political football, as you well know. Right. Yeah. Right. So we'll see what changes. Lizette, thank you so much for your insight. My pleasure. And I hope that eases the minds of many people who are watching. Lizette Sierra joining us to talk about immigration. Up next on Miami Life, here's a question for you. Lizette, you're probably not worried about this yet. Are you really ready to retire? It's a dilemma that seems to get more expensive. We'll get some expert advice on how to be ready to spend your golden years. Plus, living on the water is a dream for many folks, but for some homeowners, it's about to be a costly headache. We look at the problem of seawall erosion next. Welcome back to Miami Life. For many of us, thinking about retirement starts years before. But have you asked yourself if you are actually ready to retire? The median retirement age in the U.S. for that is 62, but 6 in 10 people say they hang it up earlier than expected. And the reasons for that include health issues, physical limitations. Also, the loss of employment is another one. In other words, they weren't planning to retire. They sort of got forced out. So when is the right time to retire? CBS News Miami's Elliot Rodriguez takes a closer look for us.
I do miss the friends, and I do miss what I did at work. I miss that a lot, but retirement is fabulous.
I met Dan and Judy Cowan at their Kendall home that they share with their 2 cats, Tova and Wishbone.
Oh, here, look at Oh, wow. Oh, my God, you've trained her.
The Cowans retired 16 years ago. Judy was a classroom teacher. Dan worked for Miami-Dade County. They're among the lucky ones with pensions to fund their retirement, vacations, and trips to visit grandchildren. Those monthly pension checks have made their golden years more enjoyable.
In the beginning, that was a little scary, but it's fabulous. I have stuff to do every day. I don't think I'm ever bored.
We really didn't know with both our incomes being cut so much, but we're both so incredibly grateful to have a pension, which I know a lot of young people don't have.
So you're among the lucky ones.
Very fortunate.
Not that many people these days have pensions.
No.
Oh, that's true.
Besides their pensions, the Cowens rely on Social Security, which can be taken as early as age 62, but there's a catch. If you take Social Security at 62, you get less money and you're penalized if you continue working. If you take it at full retirement age, between 66 and 67, depending on when you were born, you'll get a bigger monthly benefit and no penalties if you still work. At age 70, you get your highest monthly benefit. Financial advisor Charles Sachs says waiting until at least full retirement age is worth it.
Generally speaking, we recommend at least waiting to your full retirement age. That for most people these days is age 67.
And that way you can get Social Security and still work and not be penalized.
Exactly right, yes.
According to the Vanguard Group, 3.6% of Americans dipped into their retirement savings in 2023 compared to 2.8% in 2022. Dipping is generally considered a financial no-no.
You have that installed capital base, so anytime you dip into that, that means less dollars working for you for your future. So one needs to be very careful when they look to dip into that nest egg that they've built up.
The Cowens dipped into their retirement savings, but having two pensions eased the financial pain. Would you guys be able to have this lifestyle if it hadn't been for your pension, if you were living only on Social Security?
Oh, absolutely not. We would have had to move out of Miami. No, seriously, we would have possibly moved to a place like out of the country, Panama, where we would be able to get by on Social Security. We would not have any.
So you're thankful for that pension?
Unbelievably thankful for that pension.
All right, let's take a deeper dive into this. Elliot Rodriguez, who just did that story, joins us now. And Elliot, Dan and Judy are lucky, as you pointed out in that story, because they're all set. You know, they got Social Security, they also got a pension. But what about the folks who don't have that luxury?
Well, they are not your typical couple, a retired couple, because of the fact that they have those pensions. But I think it's really important to realize, Jim, that Social Security was never meant to be a full retirement plan. It was supposed to be a safety net to keep senior citizens out of poverty. So you can't live alone on Social Security, or you're going to have a very frugal lifestyle in retirement.
You got to save some money.
Absolutely.
But we've seen studies that say that a lot of folks have not saved enough.
Well, in fact, according to AARP, 20% of adults over 50 have no retirement savings.
That's frightening.
And 60% say they do not have enough saved to retire comfortably, because you know what goes into that equation is, well, how long are you going to live?
Sure.
You're going to retire, oh, I'm 62, 63, 64, 65. I'm going to retire because I have a nice chunk of money in my 401k. But you better do the math and figure out, you know, we're living longer. How much longer? How long can you live on those savings?
Yeah, and of course inflation will eat away at the pile of money that you think you have. So the spending power is another issue you think about, right?
The one good thing about Social Security is that you do get that cost of living increase, so it's nice to see that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. But you're right, it is something that you have to think about. And I've read, Elliot, that what you ought to do is try to live on what you think your retirement income will be about a year before you actually walk away from working.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Give you an idea of what retirement life is really about.
Yeah. My issue is this, though. My wife has threatened me that she said, look, when you retire, there can be some changes around here. So I figure, you know what, I may as well keep working as opposed to take orders from her all day and all night.
Wow, I thought by now she would realize she's not going to change you.
That's what I'm saying. I'll have you give her a call, okay? We enjoyed that story, though, Elliot.
Thanks, Jim.
And keep them coming because it's an important topic.
Sure thing. Thank you.
All right. So, how are you preparing for retirement? We'd like to hear from you. Email us at cbsmiami@cbs.com. All right, still to come, saving South Florida's seawalls. They're eroding our area. We're going to tell you the costly solutions homeowners who live on the water now face. Welcome back. Waterfront living is a South Florida luxury that many people dream about, but it has become a burden for homeowners who have a seawall. That is because age and climate change are slowly causing those seawalls along the coastline or canals to deteriorate. And as a lot of property owners are learning, repairing those eroding seawalls can be mighty expensive. CBS News Miami meteorologist Dave Warren tells us more.
Seawall pandemic. A lot of the seawalls that exist today are 30 to 60 years old. The typical seawall was designed to last up to about 50 years.
That's the reality for many residents along South Florida's waterways.
It was a nightmare.
John Carlson's nightmare began when his seawall needed to be upgraded.
I got cited because the water came over my bank and went into the roadway, but they made me do the seawall anyway.
It started as a minor fix, but he soon realized it would be much more.
Unfortunately, when the seawall was constructed, some errors were made.
Those errors cost him. It's a lot more money, but looking back, he says it's worth it.
You're better off paying too much and get it done right than too little and lose the whole thing.
His story is one that will likely play out many times for anyone who lives on the coast or along canals. That's because seawalls built to protect property are either past their lifespan or in jeopardy of failing.
The only thing they can do is start patching this and just start saving up and getting ready to do the big project.
The big job is what Max Weinberg did when he bought this property.
This is the thing I do when you don't see me slightly out of focus behind Bruce Springsteen.
This famous drummer bought the property and immediately looked at the seawall.
I said, this is a beautiful new cap. How do you explain all the destruction underneath here where the water's going in?
He's investing in a new hybrid wall instead of repairing the old one.
The hybrid seawall process is going to be somewhere between $1,300 to $1,700 a linear foot. Cost comparative to alternatives, it's usually going to be 5 to 10% more. However, the longevity of having that vinyl protection on that concrete structure is the investment that you can't really replace.
Well, the good news may not be the price, but it's the lifespan of these new walls. Landolph Rode Barbarigos is an associate engineer at the University of Miami.
We can expand that lifespan. Importantly, even double it to a certain extent.
One thing that can shorten the lifespan of a wall is when modifications are done.
The next homeowner came in, decided to do a beautiful renovation or add a new home, and added this huge retaining wall, which just stacked the amount of pressure on those panels.
And that leads to costly problems.
Now, when you start to get these horizontal cracks like this, there's not really a repair because the wall is structurally compromised.
It's a big decision to replace a seawall, but hopefully with new materials and codes, it's one they will only have to make once. Many seawalls here in South Florida, from rock to concrete to hybrid to even steel, they all have one thing in common. They only last so long, and little fixes to extend the life may not work as they all come to their end of life. You may end up having to do a brand new seawall like we're standing on here. It's a question that a lot of homeowners are about to ask themselves as original seawalls come to their end of life. In Hillsborough Beach, I'm Dave Warren for CBS News Miami.
Dave, thanks a lot. We'll be right back with more Miami Life in a minute. Well, we love getting feedback from the Miami Life audience, and we got plenty of it regarding our coverage of the drama surrounding Dolphin star Tyreek Hill and Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler. A lot of you had strong opinions about Hill, hinting that he wanted out of South Florida. One wrote, "Crybaby Reek needs to go." Another said, "Get gone, Tyreek." Looks like, though, he might stay after all. And our story about reopening of the Mike High restaurant in Fort Lauderdale definitely had folks happy to see an old favorite return. One viewer said, quote, "Everything older is new again." Congratulations. Keep sending us your comments and feedback to cbsmiami@cbs.com. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Miami Life. Don't forget, we'll see you every Thursday for new episodes at 6:30 on the stream. And you can watch all Miami Life episodes on demand on our YouTube channel. I'm Jim Barry. Thanks for watching. See you next time.